Yes, my favorite guest. How are you, sir?
I'm well, brother. I am well, and it was great to break bread with you and your lovely bride last week. And I know we're going to have to do it again. It was a night I won't soon forget, and it kind of blew my mind all over the place. Oh, geez, hang on. I hate to do this on live stream. I got the post-up man here, and he's got a register package.
No
Please,
problem.
forgive me. One
I'll,
second.
I'll fill in the blanks. So my wife Yana and I, we went down to. It was my birthday this last week, and Yana, my wife, she took me down to Boca, the Del Rey area, and had a really nice, quaint place to stay. And Andy happens to live in Del Rey, so reached out to him, and he and his lovely wife Jana, who would have known my wife is Yana and his wife is Jana, both Russians. And we didn't know that at the time. And
mail order brides that we both bought at the same time.
We did. And I mean, I looked at Jana and I looked at Yana and I said, Jana, I did consider your profile, but Yana, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Right.
No,
but yeah, it was weird because when you said that, it was a little bit of a confusion. What? Who? What? John? What? No, Jana Yana.
But
it was a great night, man. We really enjoyed ourselves, and
yes.
We shut down the restaurant in Boca.
We did.
That's not much of an achievement, however. At 10 o'clock, that's Boca midnight. So but it was a good time. It was a good time. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, we were the last couple standing for sure. And what most people don't know about me, Andy, is that I put myself through college as a magician, a close-up magician. And so can you just share? Am I good?
I mean, the tricks were unbelievable. The best one asked me to pull out a card, don't show him, show my wife, put it back in the deck. He didn't see it. On and on and on. And the next thing I know, he's got the card that I chose written under his pants on his leg, and lifted up his shorts, and there was the three of diamonds written on his leg. I almost fell out of the booth, but it was fun, man, and that made it even more fun. So
yes. Well,
I think you missed your calling. You could have been doing a show in Vegas 4 nights a week.
I did audition for America's Got Talent.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't do it. I watched that guy. That Shen Lee is pretty damn good. But
oh yeah, well, I did. I did the one that I shared, the three of diamonds. That's the one that I did. Except instead of having it on my leg, it ended up being on my forearm.
Yeah, well, you made my wife's glasses flip over on the table. I have no idea how you did that. You don't understand how much these things disturb me. Like I have a hard enough time relaxing my brain as is, and now I lay in bed at night. How the F did you do that? It was pretty impressive, actually. You were better than just a hobbyist. You definitely have some talent. You didn't lose much. And
I have something to fall back on. Well, the funny story about America's Got Talent, before we dig into the market update, Andy Schectman, CEO, milesfranklin.com, founder, milesfranklin.com, is that the way it works is they segregate you with about 10 other acts, and then there's all these mini judges, right? And I got the one mini judge who I could tell just hated magic. She was the second I brought out that deck of cards, she gave me the eye roll, and she looked like she was, excuse me, everybody, but you're adults. She looked like she was smelling a fart the whole time. Just and so
they call that resting bitch face.
Yes, resting bitch face. And so I blew everyone away. They had the same reaction you did when the three of diamonds was written on my leg. The 8 of clubs was written on my arm, which is what she selected, and indelibly marked, by the way, with a Sharpie, yes, and she didn't even acknowledge it. But when I was walking out, like there was this one band was like, dude, how did you do that? That was awesome. So, I mean, I had the crowd, but I didn't go to the next level. So
Well, evidently she didn't like magic acts, whatever.
yeah,
But I will tell you, it was legit, and it made a fun night even more fun and disturbing. I can't figure it out, no matter how hard I try, which I'm not.
well, thank you. Thank you for you and your lovely wife paying for dinner. That was my birthday dinner, and thank you, Andy Schectman.
Pleasure was ours.
So, Andy, I was prepping for the show and I realized that I don't know what we're going to be able to talk about because there really isn't much going on in this world, that could affect anything. But so that's just an open-ended question, Andy. What's going on?
Oh, geez. I mean, what isn't going on?
Yeah.
I mean, you got this war, a second war now that I have a sinking feeling could very easily escalate into a much bigger regional war, bringing the United States into it. Let's hope not. I think that you could see, look, you saw Saudi Arabia stop their peace dialogue with Israel. You saw in the last year, we've seen Iran join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is the largest regional military group in the world, amongst other things, along with the BRICS nations they joined. We're seeing the potential, I think, of what could act or turn into some sort of an OPEC style embargo, where, and maybe even that nuclear moment where Saudi Arabia and the rest of the OPEC nations say, Iran being one of them, Iran, I should say, I always call it Iran being one of them, that we don't align with their beliefs and or their priorities, and they're going to stop taking dollars for oil. And that's the moment that I've been talking about publicly for 3 years now. I never said it would happen this way, but that's like Mike's Operation Sandman, where all of these countries dump dollars because they're no longer needed to be stockpiled for energy like they have been for the last 50 years. That was the agreement we struck with Saudi Arabia, and OPEC will protect you. For that protection, you'll denominate oil globally in dollars. And it's created a synthetic demand whereby if everyone dumps dollars because they don't need to take it for oil anymore, it becomes a massive problem here, massive inflation, hyperinflation, potentially with interest rates that spike to compensate, which create a ridiculously big problem with all asset prices that are inversely correlated to that. And look, this isn't just something that could happen. Let's just take a step back and not go that far. But we could say, look, Iran, could very easily halt the passage of tankers coming out of the Straits of Hormuz, which control over 20% of all the global oil supply. This in and of itself could create a massive spike in the cost of oil, which I expect it will. We're already seeing voluntary production cuts by Russia and Saudi Arabia. I think we will see higher oil prices, which will create higher inflation. Everything we touch, from surfing the internet to any product that you touch, has some component of oil in it to either create it or bring it to the marketplace. And so you're looking, yes. If
the flashpoint happens, right, and there ends up being a war in the Middle East, a bona fide war, what might that do to a barrel of oil?
Okay, I think markets go higher than anyone ever thinks possible.
Yeah.
And at the same time, bull markets go higher than anyone thinks possible. I mean, look, when I started in this industry, the Nikkei was 40,000, and it lost 75% of its value over the last 30 plus years. It's still never come back. The Dow Jones was 2,100. No one thought it would go up 18, 19 times almost. But that's kind of the point. I think that when you see this type of a scenario that could be much, much bigger than people think, this could drag in, God forbid, the beginning of World War III. Let's hope not. But I think when you look at the very fragile state of the U.S. economy and the U.S. banking system in particular, and the markets, which, you know, if you take a look at the economy, we're seeing so much of the liquidity being drained out of the system. The money supply is dwindling. The liquidity in the repo market is leaving the market and going chasing higher yields in the treasury market, directly to the treasury. But it's that same environment where we see a massive drain of liquidity that almost broke the whole system in 2019 with the reverse repo, or the repo market blowing up, and the overnight lending rate, which is what the repo market is by the Fed, going up to double digits, and it just could grind the economy to a halt. So I think that would be best case scenario.
Yeah.
If we go into that type of war. But look, the worst case scenario is the petrodollar trade collapses and hyperinflation emerges. But look, you know, independent of this, in August, China sold the most securities, both treasuries and US stocks, it has done in over 4 years. And I think we're getting to a point, Todd, where you could argue that this country, and most people, not those listening to you and I perhaps, but most of the people around us, have been lured into a false sense of security, thinking that we can do whatever we want when it comes to borrowing and spending.
Right.
In August alone, the Biden administration spent $527 billion. It took us till 1975 to accumulate that much debt. And in the last 18 days, they've printed $450 billion. I mean, you're talking a situation that is spiraling out of control rapidly. And yet so few people really have their eye on the ball and understand what's going on.
Did I hear right that Biden just lifted sanctions from Venezuela to be able to import oil from them?
Isn't that interesting? We shut down the XL pipeline. We mothball oil permits. We make it very difficult. We vilify the oil companies, and then we do things like that. To what end? To what end? I mean, I guess Venezuela is in such a state that they're grateful, but I would want to pull out my middle finger and turn it right side up, you know, if I were them, because we basically caused them to collapse, did we not? The West? Look, I think that this is only a stopgap measure. I think the Venezuelans see it for what it is. I think they'd like to join BRICS. I think they would certainly like to align themselves with this growing coalition of countries. And I believe they are doing just that. Yeah. So look, yes, I mean, it would be certainly in their best interest to have the sanctions removed. But at the same time, I think they're talking out of both sides of their mouths, and they are, just like many of the countries in South America, they are moving towards an alliance with the BRICS nations, just like Argentina, who has the largest largest natural gas supplies in all of South America and control the Straits of Magellan. Venezuela has expressed interest, I believe, in joining the BRICS. And if I'm not mistaken, they have the largest known oil reserves in the world. Venezuela does. And untapped, perhaps much of it untapped, or I do believe I'm right on that. In fact, I'm about 99% positive, but they have every intention, I believe, of following Argentina's lead and moving to this BRICS coalition. They don't have any love for the West.
By the way, I want to just share my screen real quick to be able to give testimony to the fact that if you are watching this and are wondering why we're not reading your comments, I did everything like I always do. And it says comments are not supported on private videos. This is not a private video. So if there are others watching, I apologize. I wish I could engage. I will test it before next week's live stream. And indeed, if for some crazy reason this is on private, which I don't think it is, because we have three people who liked it, then I will take it off private, of course, and make it public so that everybody will be able to enjoy this. But I just want to let you know that's why if you're making any kind of comments, I'm not seeing them. And while we're here, I just wanted to show everybody. First of all, my name's Todd Pitner. I am the founder of Decentralized Directory.com and co-host with Mike Adams on decentralized.tv. And I just want to bring your attention to decentralizeddirectory.com. And by the way, there's just one D in the middle. A lot of people are calling it decentralized directory. No, there's just one D in there. But I just want to let you know what this is about. Take control of your future with me. It's time to become independent and self-reliant, because to exit the systems of centralized control, we need strategic guidance on how to privately do at least 5 things. Embrace off-grid living solutions. Keep more of what you earn. Very, very important. Protect your purchasing power. Did I ever mention to anyone milesfranklin.com? Yes. If you call them at 952-929-7006 and say, Todd sent me, Andy's going to share what good thing will happen to you when you do, because we have to unpack that, Andy, because I said something on last week's live stream that I got wrong. So we're going to correct that. Or if you want to go to info@milesfranklin.com and in the header, just put Todd sent me. We really encourage you to start investing in precious metals, because everything that's going on in this world, protect your purchasing power. And that's one way to do it. Also, shield assets from tax exposure and protect your children's inheritance from tax liabilities. I want to introduce you to, you can read through the site. There's a video from me that I encourage you to watch. And please subscribe to the email list. When you do, you're going to get a bonus guide of, it's a crypto glossary, and it has all of the crypto terms easily defined. People are really enjoying that. And plus, when you sign up for the monthly newsletter, I will be in communication with you on new partners and development. So when you go through here and you get to this section, ready to decentralize from centralized control, benefit today from key partners supporting decentralized solutions. So you have Health Ranger Store, Miles Franklin, Freedom Solar Power, Food Forest Abundance, and more. If you click right there, you will go to our key partners supporting decentralization, with Andy and Miles Franklin being one very important one. So check out these awesome businesses that are supporting decentralized lifestyle. We have a featured partner here with Andy. And then here's where it gets fun. Above phone, amazing. You can click on any of these and be able to learn more. But I want to focus everyone's attention on this. And Andy, you know, I shared a little bit about this over dinner with you and Jana, but tax saving strategies, earnings and asset protection, keep more of what you earn and protect your wealth generationally. I encourage everyone to kick those tires, please. I've had so many consultations over the last week of people who have been, their jaw dropped. They're like, wow, really? How come I didn't know about this? I can help you keep way more of what you earn and protect your assets. I mean, like literally protect them in a bulletproof style. So again, I encourage you, go to decentralizeddirectory.com. Andy, sorry about that. I just wanted to now that we have the key partners section of the site operationalized, I wanted to bring people's attention to it. And for everybody, if a link doesn't go through, forgive us. We are making it all happen. We're working really hard at it. Sorry about that, Andy.
No, that's all right. Gotta pay the bills. It's all good. Yeah.
So thank you for being a key partner that supports decentralized living.
Absolutely.
Because and I told you a story before we got on that I don't think I can tell on air, but that was kind of fun, and it was all about decentralization. Sorry, folks, but I just don't want anyone mad at me. But it was kind of funny. All right, so Andy, last week I shared with everyone that if they called Miles Franklin at 952-929-7006, or they emailed you info@milesfranklin.com and said, Todd sent me, that they would get 10% off their first order. Mm-hmm. Now, Mike Adams called me on that, and he said, Todd, no way. There is not that kind of margin in this business. Never has been, never will be. And so I'm like, Yeah, there is. Andy said so. And so I reached out to you, Andy, coming back from Boca, and indeed I had it wrong. So everybody, Control Alt Delete anything that I've said, and let's instead focus on an offer that people can count on when they say Todd sent me. Andy.
Yeah, well, we had talked about a 10% off. That's 10% off the commission or the amount of money that we make on the transaction. When you talk about what the real type of commissions are in this industry, if you make 2%, you're a rock star. So
yeah, that's amazing. That blew me away, and that totally syncs with what Mike was saying, because he has his key sponsor, and he knows the numbers. So right. Yeah, my apologies, everybody.
No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. And that really is the crux of it, is that this is an industry that if you sell bullion and focus on bullion like we do, you have to do a lot of volume. That's why you'll see a lot of companies that, in my opinion, are really harming the industry and harming the people they talk to by focusing on proof coins or focusing on coins that they consider to be modern rarities.
Okay.
To me, that's lipstick on a pig. Let's talk about proof coins for a moment.
Great.
The difference between a commercial strike coin like this, which is a 1 ounce silver eagle,
okay,
and a proof silver eagle, which I suppose I could run down the hallway and go get it, but I don't think we'll need it for this discussion, is that they take this same piece of blank silver called a planchet with just imagine this with no design on it all, just a blank disc. And a commercial strike, they'll stamp it once, they'll put it in tubes of 20 and boxes of 500, send it out to the distributors for us to sell to the public.
Yep.
You cannot buy those directly from the mint. You have to buy them through one of the distributors or a company like mine.
Yep.
The proof coin, they take that same piece of silver, they polish it under an industrial buffer until you can nearly see your reflection in it. And then they'll stamp it 2 or 3 times for enhanced definition and put it in a velvet box and sell it for 3 times its melt value. It is a collectible, but yet, it's one of these deals that there really isn't much in the way of rarity in them. They're very nice. I have 3 kids. I buy 3 every year for my kids, but it's different than having it be the majority of your holdings. And a lot of companies will misrepresent the laws surrounding IRAs. They'll tell people there's better potential. The truth of it is that it would be the dumbest thing you could do to accumulate only proof coins. You want commercial strike coins. It's kind of like this is the vanilla ice cream, and the proof coins could be the sprinkles on top, I guess you could say. But needless to say, when you're selling bullion items like this, the commissions are typically very, very small, and it's all about volume. So at 10% off of the whole order,
right?
We'd end up owing the client.
You'd be bankrupt.
End up being negative 6, 7, 8% across the board.
Right. So we have righted that wrong, and so let's talk in terms of what kind of special offer, if somebody went to you and they said Todd sent me, can we make to our audience, Andy Schectman?
Yeah, well, I guess anything that we do, let me just do, so in terms of anything that we do over, call it $1,500.
Okay.
We will offer 1 free silver eagle for their first order. If they've never bought from us before and they come through you, anything over $1,500, we will offer a free silver eagle. And we do offer free shipping on orders that are a little bit larger than that. So if you're talking a $1,500 order, you're going to pay a $15 shipping charge, but the silver eagle will be on the house. So any order, first time order greater than $1,500, we will throw in a free silver eagle. And
okay, now
so
I know
that's an offer that we can actually stand behind.
Great, thank you. And I know Andy that people are going to ask. So what if somebody says, I would like to invest $15,000. Am I going to get 15 Silver Eagles?
No, that's not going to happen. We're going to throw in one Silver Eagle, and again,
Perfect. Okay.
It's at $1,500. The
Yeah,
commission that we will make will cover the cost of the Silver Eagle. So we're not making any money.
Exactly.
So it's one of these deals where it's just our way of saying thank you for giving us a try.
That's great. Okay. So that is going to be, so what I need from you afterwards, if you can give me a nice visual of a Silver Eagle, then we'll pretty that up and we'll put that as our featured offer on the website.
We can certainly do that. That's
excellent. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for clearing it up. And and Mike Adams, if you end up listening to this, thank you for keeping me out of my own way, because I would have felt really horrible if there was a lot of people just saying, woohoo,
Well, I had a couple people question it, and I understand it. It's easy to, when you talk about definitions or I mean, it's easy to miss that. So, no harm, no foul. And I think on all these podcasts I try and be transparent. I try and be
absolutely. I think you are the most authentic precious metal dealers I've ever watched, and I've watched many, but that is why, Andy Schectman, your company in the last 33 years has sold almost $10 billion. So, I mean, everybody think about that. He sold over $9 billion in precious metals. And you do that you don't do that without being amazingly competitive with your pricing and such. So, I
appreciate that, Todd. Even more important to me in that accomplishment, which I can't even believe. I mean,
it's crazy
myself. It is crazy, is the fact we've never had a material customer complaint in all of that time.
Right.
And so, to me, that's even more important. We've messed up many times, but we try our very damnedest to make sure we first and foremost accept accountability and then make it right. That to me is how you define a man or a woman or a business, because everyone makes mistakes, but do you say, you're right, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, let me make it right, and I see what I did wrong, let me make it right, it won't ever happen again.
Do you know the three most powerful sentences that anyone can say in a row? The three most powerful.
If we were having a beer, I would say something vastly different than what but no, you tell me, please.
I'm sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me. I don't care how many times I've ever screwed anything up. If from the bottom of my heart, no matter how mad I've made my wife or whomever, if I just step up and acknowledge and just say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me. I'm telling you, that's a life lesson for anybody out there, especially if you're younger, that please write that down, because it will save you so much agita in your life, and it will help keep yourself accountable. It's very important to be able to admit when you screw up. So sorry for derailing that, Andy.
No, not a problem at all. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. So
actually, I was thinking about that, because it's exactly what you just said. So it's not the problem, it's how the problem is handled. And over your 33 years being spotless with your record, if you're out there and you want to really get serious about decentralized lifestyle, and if you want to really get serious about protecting your purchasing power, you're going to want to go to milesfranklin.com, actually, because let's educate everybody on, if somebody just goes to milesfranklin.com and orders, first of all, they're not going to get a free silver eagle, because you're not going to be able to say, hey, Todd sent me there. But why would someone want to email or actually call directly, Andy Schectman?
Because first of all, the prices on our website are not anywhere near as good as they'll get if they call and request a price sheet.
And let's back the bus up as to why. And I'll just give my best shot.
I mean, we only do up to $10,000 on the website, number
Yeah.
one. And number two, I don't want to race to play this game, racing to the bottom with all of these other online companies. Instead,
No, beautiful.
I can typically beat just about anyone.
So it's really an efficiency game. It's like
an efficiency game. It's a privacy game. It's the fact that I don't really want to tell the whole world what I'm pricing at, and that's
perfect.
True, but
yeah,
we're typically never undersold, and so I've just found that it's easier to keep this closer to the vest, and I think our clients get a better experience, better price, all of that stuff. I think is
let's
better.
say somebody went out and did their due diligence and they're like, yeah, I know my dollars in the bank are at risk, A, and B, they're melting. My purchasing power is going down by the month. So I do want to transition or invest partly in precious metals. And so they go out and they do their due diligence, Andy, and maybe they get a few quotes from some other companies. So what you just said is you're rarely undercut or whatever. So if somebody undersold, yeah. So if somebody, you would encourage people to do any due diligence they want, but make the inquiry to you, the last one, because that's where then you can work with them. You have your expert advisors, and basically the message from the top, from leadership, from the founder, CEO, is we're going to take care of our customers, and we're going to work with you, and that's kind of the message, right? I mean, make info@milesfranklin.com or a phone call to 952-929-7006, the last one in your research, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think the most important thing, Todd, is that in commodities where you have a homogeneous item where, there is no difference in the ultimate commodity. You don't buy the commodity, you buy the company and the person behind it.
Right.
That's the most important thing. You never realize how important having a relationship is until there's a problem. And that's where we excel. And we live in a world where things are very fluid, things are changing so fast. Having a relationship, I think, goes a long way, and at least it always has in my.
I have a question. Yeah. If I made an act, if I want to be able to have self-custody, I want to be able to take the silver and gold into my own custody and control it. So when you ship it, two questions, and I know obviously almost over 9 billion, you figured this out. How do you ship it to where it's safe and secure? And is it insured if all of a sudden there is a UPS delivery person who sees Miles Franklin and it feels kind of heavy and they're like, oops, that didn't make the delivery, it got lost in transition. How do you protect your customers?
Everything is fully insured, and we do things supplementally. Typically, if I have a box that's $5,000 in value, I'll insure it for $150 through UPS. There'll be no identifying markings on it. That doesn't say Miles Franklin Precious Metals. We have a different return label system, and
beautiful.
$150 insurance and the adult signature required takes it out of the Amazon stream. It gives it special care. They don't throw it around their truck because they realize that there is a little bit of insurance on it. But at the same time, Lloyd's of London and other insurance carriers have programs that sync or mesh with the UPS tracking software so that the driver has no idea that the package they are dropping off and must have signed for has as much insurance related to it as it does. So you have privacy in the way it's packaged, no identified markings, no rattling on the inside. And the insurance is placed supplementally, which gives it
perfect,
a little bit more of a stealth transaction from start to finish.
Great answer. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that was something that was always on my mind. Now I got through it. I've been investing in precious metals for the last 5 years, and yeah, have never had one single issue. But yeah, so let's say there is an invasion in the Middle East and it goes hot. What kind of impact on precious metals do you think that will have, Andy?
Well, look, you're seeing the central banks buy more gold than at any time in history, and they're continuing to do so. You see gold at pretty much all-time highs against the majority of the currencies in the world, including the second and third largest economies in Japan and China and Japan, respectively. And I think that, you know, in times of uncertainty in particular, we would expect to see a rush to stability and safety. A lot of times that ended up being the dollar and the treasury market. But what we see now are those same entities that were always buying it in times of uncertainty are now offloading their treasuries and they're moving in favor of gold. And so I think that ultimately gold goes much, much higher. I think that those that have been accumulating it have been using the suppression of the Western market in a very methodical accumulation pattern, not doing it too fast so as to cut off their nose to spite their face. But by the same token, I think that this could incentivize those large institutions to perhaps double down on their time frame. And so it could very quickly push the price up much higher. Now, there are always these people who say, well, you know, there's a rush to liquidity when the markets start to get clobbered and everyone's, you know, you throw out the baby with the bathwater and you sell your gold to find liquidity. I've never believed that. I think it's more along the lines of the banks doing all they can to suppress the rhetoric, to quell the desire to do just that, to de-dollarize, to dump your treasuries, to dump your securities, just like the Chinese have done in mass. Most they dumped last month and any time in 4 years. So they want to, you know, calm down the atmosphere, and they do that by tamping down the price of gold and silver, at least initially. So I think we should expect some volatility, but we have broken up here just the other day above the majority of the moving averages. So, okay, you know, I guess I would say that ultimately the price goes a whole hell of a lot higher. And even though if it doesn't happen immediately as a result of some sort of fallout from this war, ultimately it could be the catalyst that propels it much, much higher.
Andy, what is your counsel? And by the way, I just opened another window and went to my own channel like I was just somebody else. And I do see there are folks in the chat, Kid Crypto, Monkman, Jeremy Saylor. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Smash that like button, please. Thank you for commenting. That does help the algorithm. And be sure to share this with others. I did have a question in there, Andy. The $1,500, how many ounces is that, or that of silver or gold, or can you quantify that? Just
be about 50 or so, just over 50 ounces of silver, just over.
Okay, so 50 ounces of silver, and it wouldn't quite get you a gold eagle, would it?
No, Gold Eagle's going to be just over $2,000.
Just over $2,000, right? So you ratchet that up, and you get a, you know, buy a Gold Eagle, get a silver for free. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, you know, look, and it's a zero profit for us. We'll make no money on the transaction.
Yeah.
I would rather get a client, find someone who wants to give us a try, and hey, you know, there's a cost to client acquisition. I understand that. And it's just a way of saying thank you for giving us a try.
Yeah. So everybody think of it that way. Buy a Gold Eagle, get a Silver Eagle free, or anything above $1,500. Now in the world of when the shit hits the fan, Andy, do you counsel that people have a bag of silver, of junk silver?
Yeah, I've always thought that was sage counsel. I always have. I think that having at least a quarter bag to a half bag per family.
What would
$15,000 face value?
So a bag is $1,000?
Yeah, $1,000 face value, which is going to be more like $20,000. So a quarter bag would be $250 face value bag, which will be somewhere around $5,000. But in that bag, you would have 2,500 dimes or 1,000 quarters.
Right.
That would give you the ability to, God forbid we're out there bartering, it would give you the greatest utility and flexibility that there is in any barter situation.
I 100% agree with you. I think that is, if you don't have precious metals, I really encourage people, so the smallest bag is a quarter bag.
No, you can get whatever. You can buy $100 face value bag, a $50 face value bag. But I just think if we were trying to figure out how much should I have per family member, 4 family members get 1,000 face. That's 715 ounces.
Right.
There's 0.0715 ounces of silver in a dollar's face value of dimes, quarters, or half dollars. Any way you make it. Could be 10 dimes, it could be 5 dimes and 4 quarters.
So let's talk about because I kind of like going back to the buy ones to help quantify it for people. You buy 1 gold eagle, you'll get 1 silver eagle free. If you buy how many pieces of junk silver to be able to get that silver eagle, Andy?
Oh gosh.
And we're playing horseshoes here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have to figure it out. You put me on the spot there. I would say probably somewhere around, I don't know, $50. Well, probably more like $75 face value, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. Okay.
I might be off on that. Hang on one second.
Let's take your time. Take your time. Just because everybody, you really want to be able to have.
I think it's about 75 face. Might be a little bit less, but I think that's a pretty safe.
And that would get you what, 750 dimes or?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
yes, that's right. That's right. So 750 dimes for 75.
Because to me, it's like what appeals to me is the dimes, because if it's pre-1965, it's 90% silver, correct?
By weight, that's right. And 14 dimes is almost exactly an ounce of pure silver. Almost exactly. There's 0.00715 ounces per dime. Multiply that out times 14, and it is dang near close to.
Now, do you have some pretty decent inventory? I heard those were kind of hard to acquire.
We have been stockpiling it, and yes, we do have a fairly decent inventory in stock of that, ready to ship immediately.
Yeah, so everybody think in terms of that. If you just want to put your toe in the water and take advantage of this offer, think in terms of getting $70 face of dimes, junk silver, and you get your free silver eagle. And then once you have that, you can dollar cost average into it. Or if you're somebody who's out there who has been around the block a time or two and is recognizing everything that's going on in this world, and maybe you have $5,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, and you just want to get a strategic game plan, then you want to be able to call Andy and his experts to be able to war game it and be able to say, well, what would you do? Let's talk about some junk silver. Let's talk about some silver eagles, gold eagles. You might be a person who just is like, man, I've saved all of my life. I'm not getting anything on my money. I'm scared, right? I want to get it into self-custody. Well, please, and sorry, I'm not an infomercial, but call 952-929-7006 and talk to Andy's team. Tell us about your team, Andy. Who should people expect to get on the other end of a phone call like that?
These are all people that I've known, most of them my whole life. Go back to elementary school with the majority of the people that work for me. They're all my friends outside of work long before they worked for me. Most of them have very distinguished careers before they work for me, whether it be on Wall Street or degrees from Wharton or master's degree in business administration from Temple. Several worked on Wall Street. All are adept at talking about geopolitical events, economic events, and how they interrelate to personal finances. And our whole mantra is getting people the most gold and silver for the least amount of money, and being very transparent about it, and answering
Yeah.
questions, and showing the pitfalls that people can make, and how to avoid them.
And I will tell you, this is just, again, for personal experience. I'll never forget my first acquisition. I got a tube of the 10th ounce gold. What do you call those?
Well, there's a 10th ounce eagle. Some people like that. They'll call them the lipstick tubes, because they're about the size of a lipstick tube. They're the size of a dime. They're 1/10 ounce pure silver. They come 50 to a tube. Pure gold, excuse me. They come 50 to a tube.
Yes, yes. And I got those. And when I got the first one, I had to have the second. There's just something therapeutic about getting it and realizing in that one little, it's the size of a dime, you know, and holding it up and thinking, again, when the shit hits the fan, folks, and if you haven't been paying attention, then let me tell you, the shit is hitting the fan in this world right now. From every angle. So you want to be able to self-custody precious metals, as much as private crypto, as much as being able to grow your own food, everything that I preach on decentralizeddirectory.com and decentralized.tv with Mike Adams, which, by the way, shout out Mike Adams. You are the best co-host in the world. And we have had so many great guests. And if people haven't heard the last one, Pastor Todd Coconato, we've gotten so many positive reviews on it just because it was on fire. I mean, it was so fun. It's like we played off each other really well, and we talked about really meaningful spiritual truths. And so again, decentralized.tv, encourage you to go watch the last one. And Andy, I think you were on with Mike recently, right?
Yeah, and I'm going back on with him in a week, I think.
Great.
He said we're going to try to get on at least once a month. I'm a big fan of Mike as well. He's as sharp as they come, and really well-read as they come, and he reads the right stuff too. So
he does.
It's an honor to be associated with you both.
Yeah, I tell you what, I am absolutely allergic to mainstream news, mainstream media, anything like that.
Right.
If I do happen to stumble across something on my way to, a football game, because I am a self-admitted knuckle dragger and I like my sports. But if I do, which I did last week while I was down on my little vacation with my wife, I mean, I auto hoax everything. I listen and I think about the opposite. And usually that is the truth, except when you listen to Mike Adams. And Mike Adams is just like, he does all the heavy lifting. As a matter of fact, we're doing 2 interviews this afternoon. And for those of you who don't know yet, because it's taken Mike a while to be able to publish a lot of the decentralized.tv episodes, but I started a while back. It's called Ask Mike Anything. So in our after parties, because after parties matter, when the guest leaves and we have our little discussion and we talk about the guest, I was thinking that we need something more than just to sum it up, and something to keep people coming back. So that's where I try to have some fun, and Ask Mike Anything is becoming
I'll look forward to that question that you'll ask me next week when I'm on the show. And
yeah. So you're
gonna ask Mike anything about me. I see. Okay. Well, you could ask me anything too. Anyway.
Well, I'll ask Mike anything about anything. That's the whole thing. So this week he's not going to know that. Well, he wouldn't know it because there's no way that he's going to listen to this before we interview this afternoon. But I'm going to ask him because I'm very interested. I really want to know what his day is like, because the guy is so prolific with his info acquisition and dissemination. I really want to know, like, okay, it's when you wake up, what do you do?
By the way, I just received an email as we speak from my U.S. Mint representative who said that U.S. Mint announces final silver allocations. They will be made available tomorrow. And all sales will be suspended until we have an update. And so,
Whoa.
you're going to see the Silver Eagle market go right back up here come within 2 weeks, 3 weeks
Whoa.
or less. That's barring any major event. So
wow, you heard it here first, guys.
That'll be until the 2024s come out. Hopefully they do in a relatively orderly fashion, but that could be until the end of the year, beginning of next year.
Wow, that's blockbuster news right there. Thank you for sharing. Everybody, what that tells me is I want to be able to go get my $1,500 of precious metals and be able to get that Silver Eagle, because those are going to be they're going to be pointing north. They're pointing the right direction. So yes, let's see. What else is I guess anyway, we were talking about Mike Adams and stuff, and it's like, I know he watches zero TV, he has a ranch. So I think when he wakes up, he's like milking goats and everything like that. But then when he goes and he does his research and he prepares for the interviews, and then he has his guests on, and then they do the editing. And oh, by the way, healthrangerstore.com, he only sells about $100 million of foodstuffs a year. That's healthy. That's, that's certified organic. Everything that he does is top shelf. He is the Health Ranger, by the way. And so I can't wait to get his answer today. I'm just personally curious. How in the heck do you juggle so many balls? And give us the play-by-play, Mike.
Right on. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll say something similar to what I would say. Time management is very difficult. For me, I spend 4 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day, every day, usually towards the end of the evening, reading, taking notes, preparing for the next day.
Yeah.
On top of, I already have 240 emails. It's 1:04 in the afternoon. And so,
wow.
I on top of emails, and my clients know my text messages, and it's very difficult. Prioritizing time is very hard, but when it's your time, it's your time. You make it work. You just get up earlier. You go to bed later than you want to. You work harder. You prioritize, and I think there is no easier way to say it. That's it.
Yeah, my edict always was, I'm going to strive to do more than most, better than most, in a shorter period of time than most.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what you have to do in order to not make a fool of yourself when you're speaking in front of the world, like he does, like I do, like you do. So preparation is the key to anything, really. That's
right. So speaking of making a fool of yourself, did I tell you that last week I said they'd get 10% off of their order?
That's okay.
we buried that hatchet. All right. Well, listen, I know we're coming up. Well, gosh, we've done an hour, so I wanted that flew, Andy. But anything you want to close out with? Anything, Andy? What should people be expecting to, or what should people be, have their little quarter red flag up for what's going on in this world and over the next week until you return next Thursday at noon?
I just think we got to keep an eye on the banks. I think the banks are in big trouble. There will be bank failures. We're not out of the woods yet, not even close to it. In fact, it's getting harder and harder and harder for these banks to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And the next bank that fails, I believe, will be bailed in. I think people need to research what bailed in means. No one knows what it means. Most successful business people have no idea that it was written into law in 2009. That when Janet Yellen bailed out Signature and Silicon, she was actually in violation of the law in the Dodd-Frank Act. And this certainly brought a lot of outrage by some of the House and even some of the Senate. And I do believe that the next bank that fails will be bailed in, which will create a whole level of chaos and panic, because people can't get out of the way of what they don't see coming or what they don't know about. This is real. It's law. It will happen. And I think it is the beginning.
And let's just quickly educate everyone. If I had $10,000 in the bank and there was a bail-in, what does a bail-in mean?
You'd be fine. The bail-in is anything over $250,000 in the bank.
Okay. So let's say that I have 500,000, a million.
250,000 would be covered by FDIC, which is a bunch of crap anyway. They have
Yep.
147 billion in assets backing 18 trillion in deposits, but anything
Jeez.
over that goes into bailing in the bank. You are an unsecured general creditor of the bank. You will lose that money. You'll
Wait,
get back
so you're
shares of the
saying
bank
I would be
back.
at risk if I had $1 million and I was dumb enough to have not have it spread over 4 banks where each was 250,000 insured, that 750,000 delta, it's not that they would take a percentage of that necessarily, but they could arbitrarily take it all.
It isn't they could, that they will. That is the law. You are an unsecured general creditor, and there's over $7 trillion in uninsured deposits in the banking system. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. The recent bank that failed, I mean, how many, I was blown away that there were so many. I mean, like some accounts had $1 billion in it.
There were 10 accounts with $14 billion. These were checking accounts earning nothing in the way of interest, virtually nothing over 2020, 21, and 22. With FDIC insurance at 250,000, they had an average of 1.4 billion in each one of these checking accounts.
Wow.
Where was risk management for the bank, for the corporations, and where was the FDIC then? And that was the bank that was bailed out. That was Silicon Valley Bank. It was a joke. It was violation of the Dodd-Frank Act. They should have lost everything. And it was very, very disturbing as far as I'm concerned. But Janet Yellen made a point in saying that this won't happen again unless they believe on an uber majority vote of the FOMC, which is the Fed, the FDIC, herself, and the president, unless it's an uber majority vote that the bank in question would be too systemic. It would bring down the whole system. You watch, there'll be a bail-in, and then watch what happens as everyone runs to their banks to yank money. You'll see multiple banks collapse. Yeah. You'll see interest rates spike as those banks are forced to sell their treasuries to meet redemptions. It's a very, very big tinderbox waiting to ignite.
Hey, Andy, if I order, let's say that I'm one of those, people with $1.3 billion in a checking account. If I took 1 billion of that, just hypothetically, and I invested it, I called, or I emailed info@milesfranklin.com, and I said, Todd sent me, I need a free silver eagle. I got $1 billion burning a hole in my pocket. And I want self-custody. Now, I know that's a lot of silver, but let's say I have a big ranch and a lot of burial plots, okay? When they do a bail-in on my precious metals, are they going to be successful, Andy, when it's in self-custody?
That's one of the things about gold and silver. They represent no counterparty liability. They're assets that are not simultaneously someone else's liability. So that's the whole point of having it, that self.
So at minimum, those of you watching, and I know you know this by now, you're smart people, you at least want to have a percentage of your investments in precious metals. It's just the smart thing to do. So again, 952-929-7006. If you want to talk to someone from Andy's team, they will email you then a price list that is under what you will see on their website. And for those of you who can afford more, the website limits you to $10,000, but that's not an issue when you place a phone call and you actually speak to one of the experts on Andy's team. And so I encourage you to do so. And what's the harm of establishing a relationship? We have to start establishing our relationships yesterday, please. So I encourage everyone to reach out. And there's no commitments in doing anything, but you just might find that you learn something if you do, and at least you'll get a price list. And I think we all could probably rub a few nickels together to be able to take advantage of the $1,500 offer that Andy graciously is provided and get that free silver eagle. And for those who do go through that process, by the way, and you get a silver eagle, and you know how to find me on Telegram. It's just, at Todd Pitner, and you'll be able to find me. But if you email me, or if you Telegram me, you holding up, you don't have to show your face if you don't, you holding up a silver eagle that came through Miles Franklin, we're going to give you a shout out here on this show. If you allow it. If you say, yeah, give me a shout out. This is Monkman. I ordered mine. I got my Silver Eagle. I'd love to do that. That'd be kind of fun. Okay, Andy Schectman, thank you so much for educating us again today. It was a blast. And
Got it, my man. You got it. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, I'm just sorry we live 4.5 hours apart because as I shared with my wife, you and your wife are folks that I could see hanging with. We'd probably get sick of each other, but
no,
you know, so
it's impossible. But we'll do it again soon. And
okay.
I appreciate you too, brother. And my regards to Yana, and we'll look forward to seeing the both of you soon and seeing you back here next week.
Okay, good enough. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. Man, this was fun. I really enjoyed this, Andy. Can't wait for next.